maybe Ratzinger himself, when he gave that speech in Ratisbona. You remember the famous speech which started the controversy with the Muslim world. You remember that famous speech he did at the university back in I think it was around 10 years ago. This speech was basically to say that the Islamic religion has some very big problems in accepting other religions, also has very big problems in being different totally for our Christian creed, which gives birth to Europe and to America. It's a completely different ballgame with Islam. So if we are now accepting by the thousands these Islamic people here in Europe, and then we see that they don't really get welcomed by their own countries. I mean, the Emirates hasn't taken on board one refugee. They are just as bad as the Vatican, Rob.
Yeah, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, none of the big, the wealthy countries there have taken in maybe a small handful, like less than 20.
But they offer to give money to construct 200 mosques in Germany. I mean,
what does that mean? That's an invasion. That's an invasion force, essentially. And people are saying these are all Christians coming. No, these aren't Christians coming. These aren't Christians would assimilate well. These people don't seem to have any, not all of them, but some of them. I've seen some videos, and they're running wild. They're in a new land. They're in an area that's wealthy. You see a lot of things like public facilities, transportation, and they're just destroying it. Now, I want to go, there's a picture here in your book that blew me away, and it's a picture of Pope John Paul, which when I was a boy, Pope John Paul was the guy you looked up to, very pious man. But here he is with Jimmy Savile. And go to this shot, please, on the, I don't think people will believe it unless they see it for their own eyes. That's Jimmy Savile before he died, a guy who would go have necrophilic sex with people in hospitals and shaking hands with the Pope. He had dungeons where he took little girls and raped them. Evil man. So, I mean, how do people like this get this close to the Pope? How does this happen?
We can show the pic to our viewers.
Yeah, I know. We're showing it to them right now on camera. Yeah, but how does that happen?
Well, he was actually appointed a knight. That was the incredible thing. He was appointed a knight. And once he was appointed a knight by the Pope, he had the possibility of entering all the charity hospital with the little kids. I mean, basically, the Vatican was giving him the possibility, the ulterior possibility, because he was also knighted by the Queen of England, to have access to a bunch of kids. And I mean, we know from the reports what Jimmy Savile did. I mean, he even engaged in necromancy. He speaking, I mean, it's terrible even speaking about it. He made jewels out of parts of body of little kids. I mean, Jimmy Savile and what is supposed to be a saint of the Catholic Church. Well, I mean, of course, this puts into question the whole reality of the Catholic Church, dear Rob. I think we are in front of a church which is clearly not reflecting anything Jesus ever said or did.
I totally agree. And, I think a lot of that is the money, the amount of money and wealth they have breeds corruption. Building a giant wall around your city, making yourself a sovereign nation within a nation. That's a big thing. We're going to get to more of this. I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping here. You are watching right now the 2015 Operation Moneybob. This is my guest, Leo Zagami, joining us from Italy, and his book is Pope Francis, the Last Pope. We did a long, we're going to play an interview with him in the morning, about 10 a.m., and it'll be world premiere. You'll see some amazing shots of Rome. And we spent, I don't know, I probably shot about 2.5 hours of footage with Leo, just throwing questions at him and just letting him roll. As you can see, he's a very good speaker, and he can talk a lot about this stuff. Leo, we're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back with Joseph Wages, who's a guy that you turned me on to, told me about, and talk about how the Illuminati works within the Vatican or doesn't work, or how these things are being affected by each other.
Sure,
but first, I want you to talk a little bit about yourself as being a member of Ordo Illuminarium Universalis, which stands for what does that stand for? The Illuminati
of the universe. It's basically an order that was born in 1999 within the Monte Carlo Lodge of the P2. Everybody knows about the P2 scandal, of course. It was this irregular deviant lodge belonging to the Grand Orient of Italy.
So it was a split between two groups within one lodge, and they formed...
Of course, within this P2 reality, once the scandal erupted, they started splitting up.
Right.
So we were part of one of these, let's say, split up groups. And of course, I constituted this group initially because I wanted to really go deep into the study of certain subjects, promote also a real change within the system of Freemasonry, which is, of course, has many good sides. That's why it's good to have Joseph today, because Joseph is an eminent historian and published his first book on the rituals of the Illuminati. And I think is a good, Rob, today that we can finally distinguish fact from fiction, myth from reality. So it's important that people know. For example, they say, the Illuminati don't exist. Well, actually they exist, because apart from my order, which was born in 1999, in 2002, the ex-Grand Master of the Grand Orient of Italy, Giuliano Di Bernardo, founded with some Jesuits, some very important people from the Vatican, the Academy of the Illuminati. And this is a reality. This is, I mean, it's not a fiction. And so we are finding more and more now with people like me and Joseph Wages, the possibility also for normal people, the average Joe out there, to actually finally have a look and understand what's really going on within these secret establishments. I mean, for example, Freemasonry is not really a secret society because everybody knows about it, but the secrets within it, then it's a different story.
That's true.
Within the Vatican, there is various Masonic lodges. Of course, Joseph himself will probably confirm this when we will bring him on. The thing is that we as Masons, I mean, I was made a Mason in a traditional setup and whatever. I don't consider a priest who secretly is also a Freemason to be a regular Freemason. And that's why I started to meet certain characters from the Vatican when I went into irregular Freemasonry. Of course, in the end, this irregular Freemasonry brought me out of regular Freemasonry because the two things are not compatible. Also, I was fought very much by another sect, which is a paramasonic sect, which you know about, which is called the Ordo Templi Orientis. And basically, these people, they were against my conservative stand on certain things, but also I wanted to bring out the truth to the people. And that is the thing. At the same time, they are corrupting Freemasonry, they're corrupting all the institutions, the church, politics, and at the same time, there is nobody really who can stop them, because if you try to stop them, they say, but it doesn't exist, these problems, you're making them up in your own head.
And they say, we have diplomatic immunity, and then they go behind their walls and you can't touch them. So that's where it goes. Hey, we're going to go to break real quick, and we'll be back with Joseph Wages. You're watching InfoWars Money Bomb 2015. You can learn more at InfoWars.com/MoneyBomb. You can call the 888-253-3139 number. I think David Knight's over there now, so you may get to talk to him. And we got some great deals going on in the store right now. So I encourage you to give. It helps us reach our goal of $1 million to reach 400 million people. And why is that so important? Because as we wake people up to the truth, more people will.
David Knight is on the air, by the way. It's confirmed, or on the phone.
On the phones, yeah.
He's definitely taking calls.
He's definitely there right now.
If you want to talk to him.
1226. So call in right now. Infowars.com/moneybomb. 888-253-3139. I'll be back with my guest Leo Zagami, and we'll be joined by Joseph Wages. There is still more to come. We're going to be here till 3 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. So stay tuned.
Did you know that only 6 corporations control 90% of what millions of Americans see, hear, and read every single day? It's the illusion of choice. Think about it. The mainstream media is owned by only a handful of megacorporations with vested interests. But on the other hand, the internet is an interconnected network of billions of sources. So you can research information for yourself from multiple sources, or you can blindly accept what you hear or read in the mainstream media, never questioning what you are being told. This gives you a false sense of reality. I mean, do you actually know what you think you know? Or have you been programmed to accept someone else's version of events? Think about it. This is Darren McBreen, and I want you to break the matrix at Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.tv and listen to The Alex Jones Show, because there's a war on your mind.
And I was just cruising through on the Twitterverse here. A lot of people are very interested in what you have to say, Leo. You've really got some people's heads turned. Some guy named Izzy was amazed at the picture of Jimmy Savile and the Pope, and you can find that in Leo's book, Pope Francis, The Last Pope. Someone else noticed the crooked cross. You were the picture of the Pope with that cross, and he is a Jesuit. A lot of people want you to talk about the Jesuit thing, and right as I saw those questions, you started bringing up how Pope Francis is a Jesuit, and they had been kicked out, and now they're back in. And let's bring on our next guest. Joseph Wages is a 32-degree Mason of the Plano Lodge, number 768 in the Dallas Valley of the Scottish Rite Freemasonry. He's a fellow of the Grand College of Rites, and a life member of the Missouri Lodge of Research. He's currently preparing his forthcoming book, The Columbian Illuminati. And the book he sent me is The Secret School of Wisdom, which is chocked full of just essays and different, I don't know, just everything I think you'd ever want to know about the Illuminati seems to be covered in this book, and Freemasonry and how and where they collide and don't collide. Joseph, are you there?
I'm here, Rob. Thanks for having me on today.
Yeah, so I kind of want to get you and Leo on for kind of a broader discussion of for the next 15 minutes or so, talking about the Illuminati's ties with Catholicism and how those worlds intermingle, what you know, what Leo knows, and just kind of explaining people how maybe there are some myths and realities versus the secret societies that people think they know about Freemasonry and what they don't. So I'm going to give you a little bit of time here with Leo, and then we're going to talk. We'll get into your book once Leo leaves us. But so looking at the Pope and what's going on now with the Jesuits, how do the Jesuits intermingle with, I guess, the Illuminati? How do those two worlds collide?
Okay, so if we go back historically, the decaying Holy Roman Empire in the 18th century, Bavaria was a state in Germany. And basically what it was, the educational system was controlled by the Jesuit order. And so the Pope disbanded the Jesuits in 1774. And when he disbanded them, it created a power vacuum. So here we have young Adam Weishaupt, a professor of canon law. He's the first non-Jesuit to ascend to the position of professor of canon law. And the reason why it's significant is because he's the first non-Jesuit that's ever done this before. And so he got cross with the Jesuits. They kind of throttled him a little bit. And ultimately, he rejected their method of instruction, which is more like rote memorization, like not any kind of critical thinking, more just like kind of drone knowledge, what I call academic bulimia, so, binge and purge, that kind of deal. And so what ends up happening is that very repression of the Enlightenment that the Jesuit order through the institution of education is placing down the society, it actually creates a need for something like what Adam Weishaupt wanted to put together, which, he considered a secret school of wisdom, and it was to basically teach everything that the Jesuits weren't teaching in school about philosophy, science, mathematics, just general things about the Enlightenment, reason, ration, virtue, and those sorts of things.
Okay. Leo, where do you see the... is Leo not there? I think, okay, we might be reconnecting with Leo.
Okay.
So I guess my next question is, what do you see any significance with the Pope coming to the United States in your Freemasonic areas of influence? Do you see anything going on with that?
Well, I mean, as far as like the the Catholic Church goes, if you're a Catholic, I guess it's going to be a big deal. Like